Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to show Day 9. This is Day 9 Daily number 610, where we're going to learn to be a better gamer. In today's daily, we are going to be examining how a meching player can properly destroy a bioing player. Because the Hellbat nerf is a new little addition, suddenly you don't have to get Hellbats every single game, because the best defense to Hellbats is Hellbats. Or potentially the best other non-Hellbat alternative to defending Hellbats was the Hellion. In other words, you just couldn't go bio in the damn matchup. But now all of a sudden we have bio players aplenty, and there's many mechers out there who are thinking, how can I transmute my old mech builds into new? That's what the daily's about today. So we're going to be looking at some games from Major versus Ryung from WCS America, or as we call it, WCS Murrka, M-U-R-R-K-A. There's an implied I and several apostrophes. Originally, I was going to be doing a Bioverse Mech daily. I prepared it this morning and was like, alright, cool, seems pretty good, so let's do it like that. And then as I got closer and closer, I thought, you know what, this is going to be way better. These games showcase, or excuse me, the remaining games in the series showcase the mech side of things a lot better. However, Bioverse Mech is super interesting to me. So I'm hoping to very soon get my hands on some of the games that Select played going bio against mech, so we can truly see that awesomeness shine. So rather than do a mediocre bio versus mech daily today, we're going to do an awesome mech versus bio, and then later on do a bio versus mech from the bio side of things. But today we're going to be focusing on mech. Tomorrow I'm going to be playing the Swapper and Rogue Legacy. Unless something gets corrupted with my Swapper save, which it was being weird earlier today, so worst comes to worst, we'll just do all Rogue Legacy tomorrow, and I'll play the Swapper next week. But at the very least, Swapper and Rogue Legacy are going to go down, so I'll see you tomorrow for that. And Fun Day Monday is the Low Econ Fun Day Monday. I'll be posting about that on the website post-show. So, let's briefly make sure that Violet wins against Huangxin, because WCS Murrka is running right now. It's 4 base to 2. 4 is oftentimes greater than 2, so I will close that with the knowledge that Violet won't botch that lead. Is there anything else? I feel like there was one other thing. Oh yeah, I've been trying to get up real early in the morning. That's bad for your health, man. Ooh, I don't know if you should get up early. Ooh, it doesn't seem really good. I think it might be that I'm not actually adjusted. I just wake up and I'm just so groggy non-stop until like when I would have woken up anyways, and then I start to feel good. So I'm gonna probably stop that and just stay up later and sleep in more. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? That's such a smart thing. God, is there anything else notable? Nothing else is notable. Let's talk about Terran vs. Terran, shall we? Let's talk about the TvT matchup. Broad statements are what we're going to begin with. Big ol' broad ones. Bio, incredibly mobile. Can deal a lot of damage quickly. Mech deals a lot of damage consistently and is super, super slow. So you have fast versus slow. Tiny strikes versus just big, overpowering damage. So in general, the bio player avoids the mech player as much as possible. And the mech is trying to just protect on all fronts and not get caught off guard. The goal for the meching player is to force an engagement or to bait an engagement by the bioing player, and then the bio player will lose everything to a line of tanks. And on the flip side of things, the goal for the bioing player is for the mech player to get a little isolated. The bio player should need a lot more money just to go toe-to-toe. Very often the bio player will have, say, 110 supply of army versus a 70 supply army, and overwhelm and crush that with just some remaining. And then the bio player tries to rebuild during that period of time and use that period where the mech player is rebuilding to get some footing. So that's just the general mix that we're seeing in these mid-games. So if we come to a map like Neoplanet S, in theory, it should be the mech player will, mostly keep his units positioned here, bouncing up and down like this between these two, while the bioing player, rather simply, will try to apply pressure with two forces. One from this side, moving his units from here into this base, killing off things like this, and trying to do drop tactics and antics into here. And even doing things like running the medevacs past this, up into and dropping in the main base is great, because when the meching player moves in, then this strike force here can move in like that. It feels quite fun. But here's the odd statement. In the early game, it's completely up in the air who is going to have control. Comes down quite a bit to build orders and how we want to play. And we're actually going to see Major do a lot of smart things in these games to hold that map control early on. So let's go ahead and check it out. So first, we want to note what are some obnoxious little cheesy plays that can happen. You know, there are proxy racks sort of stuffs for today's daily, because we're just taking a look at one way to play mech versus bio. We're going to ignore a lot of those and just focus on the real common long-term play openings. These would be things like early Reaper harassment, sometimes double Reaper harassment, things such as early Hellion pressure, marine mine, medevac pressure, marine mine tank pressure. Just want to plant these in your mind as we'll talk about them throughout the game. Major is going to be doing an opening that may very well look like it's not, I guess I'd say may surprise. But this part should be no surprise. If we're going to mech, this makes sense as an opening for us because we're getting the gas early to get the Reaper, and we need to get gas early for the factories. We're going to see a lot of important moves made because the factory costs 100 gas, and we need to make sure that we have the gas available for that. So let's look at everything from Camp Major's point of view. Now at this point, this is the first scouting that Major's actually done. I'll actually go back to normal colors. We're either up against a Reaper opening as well, or our opponent went for a faster factory. These are essentially the only two that we're really worried about. I'm kind of deferring the idea of our opponent going command center, barracks, or barracks, command center, because we don't freak out that there's going to be an attack coming if our opponent's expanding. When I say worried about, we're just talking about the early aggression moves. So we can see now, this makes quite a bit of sense as to why second Reaper is coming up. Because look, second Reaper finishes at around the same time Reaper 1 gets to our opponent's base. So very, very common if we're going for mech to be going double Reaper. Pokes up, sees the Marines, okay. This is either an expand, or it's some ultra fast tech. So Major's going to do some pretty intuitive moves. I mean, he's just going to go straight for the factory because, you know, fucking you should go for the factory, right? If you're going to go mech, you got to get the factory some point. Getting it at any point is great. And he gets the reactor add-on. Everything is great. And continuing things on pretty swiftly. So we can see Major is just trying to get any information he can. This is enough. This is all the information that Major actually needs. And I would like to note I actually did this in a podcast once. I called it the idea of the imaginary player. You're not actually playing one game against one person. You're playing one game against a possible range of people. Wow, we see Marines at the front. We know he's not going Reaper. He's either going expand or factory. And then once we see this gas, like right now, we can just click on it. Actually, this is not useful. We can click on it, and if we saw something like 2300 gas or 2200 gas, we would know, this guy didn't early expand. Poking in a little bit more, the big things that Major's trying to see are these gas geyser counts. And just seeing second set of dudes mining gas down there. Again, more than enough. I paused when I was like, oh crap, never mind, because if you see a newly finished geyser, you still don't really know. But checking the geysers is almost always the #1 way to quickly get the information you need. Actually, I am going to restate that because I think that's quite nuanced. So, Normally, if you see the gas geyser, you can just clearly state, okay, yeah, this guy teched. But again, this is a newly finished gas geyser based upon clicking on it. So the fact is we have to go in just a little bit. You can also tell by the number of workers here that 3 are on gas. If you're not at Major's level and can't see that, then you can just waltz 2 feet forward and see 3 additional dudes on gas. So great. Major knows for a fact that not only is this guy teching, but he's going for a second gas tech. So this is like super aggro. It's not actually going to change that much for Major in terms of what he's building, but it is going to be some significant changes in what he does as a follow-up. So let's see what that is, if I can do my hotkeys correctly. So obviously our opponent could be going Mine Drop. He could be going for Hellions. He could be going for Banshee with Cloak. He could be going for Hellbat Drop because he didn't realize that the Hellbat's been nerfed. Could be doing a whole slew of things. Uh-oh. Come on, StarCraft. Oh my god. Oh my god, StarCraft. Oh my god. Oh my god, it lagged so hard there, I almost cried. I almost wept. That's a fun fate. Alright, cool. So we see that Major, with all these possible options, just throws down a simple scan. Pretty easy to know where to scan if you're against a one-basing player. Look at this placement. We saw nothing here with the Reapers. We assumed nothing was here because we kind of also saw nothing there. It's kind of weird for him to shove all his tech there because we can just kill it. So yeah, really easy scan location, generally just off the command center. And we can see that it gets like really good vision range. Oh, it's Cloak Banshee. Now here comes some sweetness. I gotta stop dropping this pen. That's okay. So here's our first sweet step. Second gas geyser only goes up after we have gotten this starport up. Seems a little funky. This is just a very smart defensive play, getting these Widow Mines up. We can do some aggression with them, as this rally point would suggest, but they're great for defense. Just one Widow Mine here, one Widow Mine there. Banshee flies into it, doom, done, dead, death down to Banshees. Of course, Major moves on in. For any of you who just don't know this timing, I will tell you, and you better trust me. Around 7 minutes is when that Banshee is popping up. We can see that Cloak is almost done. Great, we also see the Banshee en route too. This is what's very nice about this timing from Major, is the Banshee will generally only just about be ready to pop out with Cloak, and we can keep that Banshee back. This exploits the fact that by getting a fast Banshee, you're kind of cutting all the rest of everything that you can be doing. God, I just dropped 2 pens back to back. You know what the problem is? Lost the pen cap, so there's no balance. There's no counterbalance to it, so it's really easy to drop them. It's totally unfair. You know what? Get both the pens up. Hold on to those. Okay. Alright. Look, we're going to talk about this. This is just a nice strike. This is a nice way to say, okay, you could be going one base Banshee all in. You could be going for Banshee Tech or Banshee Expand. So Major just does a really nicely timed strike based upon his scan. There is Banshee coming on up. We got 2 Widow Mines there. We got this missile turret up. Alright, nifty. What to do, what to do. Generally around 7 minutes is when he's going to be getting that Banshee up to our base. And see, there it is, at right around 7 minutes. So that's why this strike is really good. Can't quite have that Cloak done. Just a really perfect time to swing in. So in this position, Major now has to ask himself, what to do? What to do? We're going to see a couple of really nice moves that I think are intuitive enough. Going for a Raven is going to be Major's next choice. He can get a Raven right now, but just didn't have 3 in gas. Some semi-annoyingness with this harassment. There's the Raven en route. But here comes some sweet plays from Major. Actually, I'm going to wait till he's defended, and I'm going to pause. Alright, welcome to the 9-minute mark, ladies and gentlemen. Why on earth are we pausing here? Because two things have happened. One, we know about what our opponent is up to. And two, we have stayed alive. Almost always, all Mech games will have a factory and a starport up, and not much else. No additional factories, not really many more add-ons than this. That's about it, yeah. This is what you will have as a meching player. So, given that two things now are true, what's our next play? The two things are, our opponent could be going bio, or our opponent could be going for mech. We need a play that answers both of those. So let's watch what Major does. It's both straightforward and kick-ass. Barracks moves up to this side. Widow Mines positioned appropriately. What we see Major do is he just floods Hellions. And he is going to be flooding Hellions way longer than you may think. Way the hell the much longer than you will ever even frickin' believe. There's a couple of pushes, some tanky-related pushes, that can swing in, so going for a Banshee with a force like this is excellent. I mean, we're going to run into the Banshee, but notice how cleanly mobile this is. If he tries to throw down a command center, we can pick it off with our Viking Raven Banshee combination. But these Hellions, quite surprising. Because we've been spending all our minerals on Hellions, and we haven't been burning any gas out of this, this is where we get the gas to get up these factories, and also to get up this command center. We can't really take this command center unless we have heavy map control, and that's what these Hellions are for. Now, if we actually head back on over to Ryung's base, Ryung didn't get a bunch of barracks at the start. He went for a more typical 1-1-1 opening, a factory, a starport, and a barracks. So we can see, look at how far behind Ryung is. Counterintuitively, despite the fact that Bio is considered the fast ninja force in this matchup, it doesn't have that utility till like 14 or 15 minutes. In other words, you don't get map control with Bio until pretty damn late in this matchup. You actually are securing most of your ground with tanks. This is why tanks and tank placement is quite important. We see that this tank is placed seemingly way far out. You would never do this against another mech player, but Ryung has scouted that Major is going mech. Hell, you can scout it with things like seeing a barracks floating. So, alright, nice. Now here we get to see some sweet schwanky stuff. And we will see continued sweet schwankiness throughout this game. Oh wow, is that another Banshee harassing by Ryung? That's just really good. Alright. What to do now? What to do? Historically speaking, what players would do is emphasize getting these factories up as fast as possible, or as we call it, AFAP. Historically, against Bio, players would favor the siege tanks super early. Why? Because, boy, golly gosh howdy, how are we going to defend against this brutal Bio tank force? Well, we just have to have more tanks. That was the prevailing logic. But we're seeing players burn their gas as quickly as possible on the Blue Flame upgrade, often building 1 or 2 rounds of Hellions out of these 2 Tech Lab factories as well, to really cinch the map control. Also, I'd like you to note that Blue Flame turns our old Hellbats into a reality. We're actually going to be able to get those. These types of moves are, you know, obviously didn't do a lot. But that doesn't make it an incorrect or a bad play. Major has total lockdown on this map thanks to this Hellion force that's in high numbers. I mean, this is really high numbers. And this little Raven Banshee Viking force. Another thing that I want to note about this force is that it's a gas-based force. Raven is 200 gas. And then these 3 Vikings are about another 200 gas. This 200 gas allows us to avoid spending the minerals on turrets. Only one turret here, one turret here. We're avoiding spending minerals. So now we can spend all those newfound minerals on these Hellions. So again, to state that, that whole thing is actually like a really neat example of the most fundamental thing, the fundamental decision making in StarCraft, which is how you're allocating resources, in particular the relationship of gas and minerals. If you can get map control with minerals, you have to figure out a way to free up those minerals. Well, I cannot build turrets, but because I am sacrificing minerals there, I have to fix that problem with gas. So here is the gas. Yeah, yeah. So a sort of alternative difference would be to say something like, okay, I can get a lot of map control as Protoss by building, or in Protoss Resurgence, I can get a lot of map control with Phoenixes and getting a ton of Phoenixes out. And then I need to get the Colossus up really fast. These are all things that require a lot of gas. So how on earth do I stay alive versus these early all-ins without the gas to build sentries? Very fair statement. And the answer is to go for these gateway first type of plays. Actually, that's... Did I misstate that? Doesn't quite answer the gas mineral thing. Maybe that's not the best example. That's fine. Stuff like that. All right, damn it. Look, I try to get up early. I can't keep track of my train of thought. Yes, gateway first openings. Yeah, oh god, I remember what I was saying now. Yes, yeah, in a Protoss vs. Terran. Yeah, like, how do you do these, like, Phoenix into Colossus openings? Well, we see players going for these gateway first openings, getting the 3 gateways up, which discourages a lot of these standard types of all-ins, and then we get the Stargate up in plenty of time. Sorry, just reading chat. Lady Feist was like, Sean, don't ever get up early again. Look, damn it. You get what I'm saying, alright? You get it, alright? Look, I am allowed to have a catastrophe on air. I am allowed to melt down. This is my show. The only thing that would make this worse is if I was like, we're gonna take a break right now and just turn the stream off. I just like cut the show. I'm like, oh fuck, the show is over. We're out of this. Oh man, that's so good. Oh yeah. Yeah. Woo! Oh, oh, woo! Oh man, even the sleeves are normal. Oh, that's fine. Look, if we want to have a complete disaster, let's just get the OCD folks going nuts. Wow. Woo! Cool. Oh, Anton Trong notes that I didn't have a post on Team Liquid for the stream. Let me do that after this. Thank you very much. You know what? We are probably going to stop now. Just to do the break. But yeah, total map control, spending a lot of gas to deal with the air, which frees up minerals, so he can get these Hellions up for map control. The reverse logic works too. Hell, I need a lot of Hellions up for map control. So I'm spending a lot of minerals. Can I use gas to defend in the skies? Hell yeah, Raven Banshee. And the Widow Mine covering all these flanks. A surprising amount of map control down at this point in time. And with the armory up now, we're starting to see Major begin to transition fully on up into good old mech play. And now we have this wonderful tool, this Infernal Pre-Igniter, to be able to begin containing and controlling our opponent. And when now we finally get this expansion up, we can just add a single missile turret, place a single siege tank, and boom. Total map dominance by Major at this point in time. This is the sort of funky position that most bio players will find themselves in. Until Stim is done and Combat Shield is done, they just really can't move out and wind up pretty hold back in positions like this. When we come back, we're going to step into the mid-game of this game. All the same. See you in a few minutes, that is.